Hey guys, it's Doc from the Gold Hog, and today we're going to be up here, we're actually up at Golden Gems today. We're going to be running some dirt. And one thing I'm going to be doing, I'm doing a couple things. I'm going to throw some tips all through this video about setting up, running equipment, reading creeks, different things like that. But since we're really not reading creeks and dredging, I'm not going to do a whole bunch of that. We're going to be digging excavated soil. We're going to be doing two things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the Viper Pro Flare again. We're going to be running that phenomenal system. We did a recovery rate test, control test on this a couple weeks ago, well over 98% on superfine flat gold. So we've got this thing dialed in. We've got the new downdraft mat and the new Bedrock 2.0 mat in that wide flare section. So we're going to be running it like that today. We're going to be running this unit at a rate of at about 180 buckets an hour. That's about 4 tons an hour, somewhere around there. But I think I've got 5 guys here helping me, and it's hard to keep up with that rate. So this unit will handle a ton of material, and that's one of the things I want to stress. I want to stress that this unit, it's a beast. It'll run a ton of material. Then the next thing I'm going to do is after we do this, I'm going to take these cons home. I'm imagining I'll have probably about a gallon and a half of cons, and I'm going to run it through the new Gold Cyclone. And the new Gold Cyclone is a product that we just started selling last week, as a matter of fact, and it's a hyper concentrator. What it allows me to do is it allows me to start at 1/4 of an inch concentrates, take it down and run down to about 2 tablespoons of material, run it again, 2 tablespoons, just do a few screens, and each run is about 3 or 4 minutes. The total process, I've gotten all my gold out probably in 20 to 30 minutes. It's a really, really phenomenal machine. We have a bunch of these Cyclones going to commercial operations as well too. Now, is the Cyclone a product that you want if you're out running a stream sluice and you come home with, you know, a couple cups full of concentrates? No, but for the person that's more advanced in prospecting or mining, yes, it definitely is. At some point in time, cleaning concentrates becomes more of a labor than a love. Some people just love sitting out there and panning cons for hours and hours and hours. For us, especially with some of our commercial operations, we don't have time. And this takes a process that would be maybe a 4 or 5 hour process down to 30, 45 minutes. Phenomenal product, really nice. So I'll show you the Cyclone running the concentrates after we do this run, and we'll go from there. Hey guys, I wanted to show you some of the dirt we're running, and so you understand that this really isn't pay level dirt. This is actually deep excavated, almost topsoil, but it contains a lot of old river gravels. So it's not this high concentration grade of dirt that a lot of people think about when they think about a pay level dirt. I mean, sometimes I've seen this dirt run $2 or $3 a yard. Sometimes I've seen it run $12 a yard. But the important thing about this dirt is it's got a lot of gems in it because it's that soil, it's deep down. I'm going to put up a picture real quick of their excavator when they excavate this dirt. And you'll see that, I mean, they go down, you know, 20, 30, 35 feet, almost 40 feet to pull this soil up. And that's why there's so many gems in it. Like I said, it's not heavy, heavy concentration for gold, but there is gold in it. And the reason why you know is when I see these inside of it. Now these are rounded old quartz rocks. They're river rocks. So they're inside the soil, which tells me that there is a percentage, or there is a little bit of gold in this soil, but it's not a heavy concentration. It's more of a mix over years of river gravels, river soils, and regular soils. It's almost garden. You could plant in this and grow in this soil. So that's why you're going to run a little bit lower on the gold, but you get the gems as a bonus. That's why we like playing with this stuff. But it's a really good test because the clay concentrations are outrageous, really thick clay. Hey guys, I figured I'd go ahead and start a couple of my tips here at the pump. Today, this unit, we've got the Viper Pro Flare set up over here, and we can run this on a Champion pump, and that pump runs about 9,000 GPH, but I got to run it pretty close to full RPM. So what I've done is I've taken a 3-inch pump. This one's rated at about 15,000 GPH, and you can see the size is a 3-inch intake. We've got it over in there, and we've got it down, just a couple rocks holding down the intake. But what I've done is I've necked it down at the pump. So I have a 3-inch to 2-inch sort of bell reducer here, and these are hard to find. Now I can run, I have a 3-inch pump, but I can run all 2-inch from this point forward. and it's a lot less expensive to buy 2-inch lay flat hoses and 2-inch everything else up here. So that's why if you're going to run a 3-inch pump, if your units will take it, some of them won't. But I can run this thing at about 30% RPM now and not have to go so hard on it. So that's one of the tips I wanted to give you today. So today we're going to be running the Viper Pro Flare, and I just wanted to show you a couple things, and I'm going to tell you what we include and what we don't include. The unit basically comes from here forward. That's what you get. You don't get any of the hoses, you don't get any of the pump, but I just wanted to show you, when you go from a lay flat, go into some kind of little suction hose or dredge hose or spa hose, depending on the size. I always put a quick connect. Our unit comes with a normal threaded. You can take the lay flat and go directly into this, but you'll get a kink right in here. So we use a small section of dredge hose, which keeps the kinks out. I like to use quick connects. I've got them now on my pumps and on these. I found that the metal quick connects have a better inside diameter than the plastic ones. The plastic one ID is a little bit smaller because the plastic is so thick, so I like the metal ones. Now today I've got my kicker tray. We do not sell kicker trays. Everyone asks me that, but this is just an old sluice box we cut up. And as the rocks exit out here, they go off to the side. We can search for gems here, plus it gets them out of our way. We're going to be feeding this unit from this side, and so that's why I want the rocks to go this way. But that's a nice little kicker tray system. The rocks pound down, and then they roll out over here. We can watch for gems and move them. Because we're going to be running today probably about 180 buckets an hour is what we're going to be running. Now the other thing I did, here's another little tip. You can see that when I set this unit up, I've got a real steep bank here. And because I use the steepness of this bank whenever I set up my Highbanker, it drops the height of my header box way down. If you set this unit up, or just about any unit that has pitch, up on flat ground, it raises your header box up. But because I'm using this bank pitch here, I'm finding a steep space on the bank, it naturally pitches the unit, which means I can drop everything down. So this is actually below my waist. It's actually below my waist now. It makes for real easy dumping. So always use the pitch of the ground whenever you can to set up a Highbanker or a unit. Don't set it up on flat ground. We're going to be running, I've got a little catch basin down here that'll act sort of as a fluid bed, because we have 1/2-inch material running through this, and I'll have a lot of rubies and sapphires and topaz actually fall into here. It kind of fluidizes, and we catch a lot of them down here. But this is the Viper Pro Flare, and you can see that what it does is this water up here, and this is a really good way to talk about mats too, and what mats to use. This is going to be deeper water, and it's going to be at an 8-degree pitch. So I've got an 8-degree pitch here, and the way that we build this Viper Pro Flare is we actually decrease the pitch 2 degrees down here. So I'm running a steep 8-degree here, then I'm going down to a 6-degree pitch here. That's about where I'm running this unit. So I flare everything out, I reduce the pitch, and it's real smooth down here. But up in here you can see I don't have smooth running mats. What I have is river hog that's cut down with a riffle cut down low, and scrubber, and that's basically all I have up in here now, because this is going to be real violent and I want to really treat it. I'm not going to get a whole lot of settling velocity in here, so I'm going to rip that high current water. Then it's going to come down here, and when it hits this, it flares out, but we put a stop right here, and this stops the water with the mat on top and causes the water to pause. We end up catching a lot of gold. We put a UR mat here. But today, for the first time, we have our new Bedrock 2.0. So it's going to go, I think I've got this like Razorback, Downdraft, Bedrock. Razorback, Downdraft, Bedrock, Bedrock. The Bedrock, the new 2.0 Bedrock, is a really good finishing mat. It can take a lot of water speed, and it's good multi-velocity. So that's how I've got this unit set up today and running. I've got 5 people here helping me today. I got 5 diggers and carriers, and you're going to see that it's almost impossible for me to keep this thing fed. And I think that's an important note, that a lot of people think they have to go bigger and bigger. You really don't. This Viper Pro Flare, it can kill 5 people if you're not careful. So this unit can handle easy 3.5–4 tons an hour. You're talking 180 buckets an hour. Sit there and we're going to dump it, dump it, dump it. We're going to trickle in the dirt at about 15 seconds a bucket, 15 to 20 seconds. 3 buckets an hour times 60, that's 180 buckets times about 45 pounds per bucket. And you come up with, and figure to do the math on it. So I'm guessing somewhere around 4 tons an hour is what we're going to run. We're going to probably run out of dirt. I want you to show you what it looks like once you start feeding that dirt. You can see how smooth this sluice is over here. Almost zero turbulence down in here. And then very turbulent up in here. But surprisingly, we catch a lot of fine gold up in here because we're cutting that upper layer with these ripples. Hey guys, so what I'm going to do, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. If I do, I'll try and take some pictures of it and shoot it, but I'm going to take each section of this mat and try and clean out, not perfectly, but sort of go mat by mat by mat and sort of check where my gold is on this thing. Now I will tell you that we had 6 shutdowns during this first run just because I didn't bring my leaf deflector, and so my intake has been clogging up full of leaves and debris. So this is a good check. Let's also check on migration. Shut down and restart, shut down and restart. 6 times we had to do that on our first run. Okay, I really don't know how I'm going to piece this together, but this is the very last mat. And you can't see it. There's about 5 little colors that are 100 mesh gold in here. Okay, so here's sort of the second to last mat. Same thing, I'm just seeing a handful of colors, 5 colors or so. You can barely see them. Alright, third from the bottom, that's the first downdraft. Again, 5 colors. I'm probably going to start skipping some mats. Okay, this is going to be real hard to see because most of this up here is 100 mesh and below. There's 100s, 150s, 200s all up in here. I don't even know if you can see it. Alrighty, so we cleaned the bottom mat and we found a bunch of fine gold. Weight wise, not much, but here's the top section. And you can see that weight wise, 90% of my gold is probably caught up in that first top section. Now there's a bunch of fine gold I still haven't panned down in here, that I still have to pan out down in here. There's fine gold all through here, but you can see that all that was up in that top section. You'll see tons of 50s, 100s, and 150s up there too. All told in that whole thing, I'll bet you we pulled about 1 gram of gold. So we ran, let's say, 4 tons, over 4 tons of dirt. So that's going to be about $10 a yard, somewhere around 8, because we ran about 5 tons. So it's about $7 to $10 a yard this dirt is running. So that's not bad. It's just, it helps you understand that you got to move a lot of dirt. We're finding a lot of gems, and I'll show you some of those. But again, that's about 1 gram of gold sitting in there after that run. Let me show you some of the gems. And the nuts and bolts are not gems. We keep our nuts and bolts in here too, but you can see I've got a whole bucket full of gems in here. I got rubies, I got sapphires, I got amethyst, blue quartz, I got emeralds. I got all kinds of gems in here. So, again, when we pulled out, probably there's 75 gems sitting in there for that run. That's pretty good. Hey guys, I'm actually back home now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine some of this. I've got to shoot some video for the Gold Cyclone, and I'm actually going to use these cons from our Viper Pro flare run. So I'm going to grab some of that video and bring that into here. So don't get confused with it. I'm actually blending 2 videos together. Now initially we were saying you could run it in 3 different modes, which is the standard, the pro, and the commercial mode. But really, after our final testings on this commercial mode, it is the only way that we're shipping it out. It's just so efficient, runs so cleanly that we're going to be shipping it out. So don't get confused. I've got other videos up there, which I'm going to leave up there, that show the Cyclone running it with 2 rings and 1 ring. But I'm going to show you today a couple of adjustments that we've made on the unit so you know how it's shipping out. Okay, so here's the unit, and here's the main change I want to show you, and it's only going to have 1 ring in it, and this is what I call the commercial mode, because you end up having this full tube to allow this separation process that I'm going to show you today to go on. So the product, so you know, will only ship with 1 ring, and it is placed right about here. And I just want to show that this is the commercial mode. This is the way they're all going to ship out, and you run it this way all the time. Now I'm going to show you one other change we've made. Okay, so here's the other change we've made. And that is on the tailings tube, or the screen indicator tube. We were going to glue this mat in, but what we did is we lengthened it so that it had a little bit of bite. So now what you could do is you could just pull this mat out, clean it, and actually put it back in very easily. Once you put it back in, just tuck it in, and it's ready to go. Now, might there be a piece of gold that gets under here? Yes, but it doesn't matter. This is really not for catching gold. This is just your indicator tube. And again, this goes this way. So you're going to have a little bit of a space in here, what you want, then you're going to have your mat. So I just look at it, put my other piece on top, and again, depending on the size, the amount of concentrates that you're running, I just use a coffee can. You can let it drop directly into a 5-gallon bucket, or even put a 2-gallon bucket inside here if you want. You'll play with it and do it on your own. But today I'm actually just back here in the corner behind my house over here because it's pretty windy out here and there might be a little bit of rain. But I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to run concentrates. We did the Viper Pro flare run, and we did 2 long runs. We ran about 8 tons of material. We have about 1.25 gallons, 1.5 gallons of concentrates. All I did is screen it down to 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to run it through this and show you the run. Now I did want to show you this real quick. I've got a full 5-gallon bucket of cons plus another 1/2 gallon. This is close to 100 pounds. That's, I don't know how heavy, but I'm not going to run this obviously through. These are dredging cons. I have not worked yet. I'm not going to run that through the Cyclone. What I would do is I would take my gold cube, I'd concentrate them down, then go over to the Cyclone. So that's kind of how we work our finishing process. But if I only have 1 gallon or so of cons, I'm going to go straight to the Cyclone. But all I'm going to do is when I start this unit, I'm just going to let the unit basically fluidize the material. I'm going to barely keep it spinning at the bottom, and I'm going to create a standard fluid bed is what I'm going to do. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my lower unit on. I'm going to turn my funnel on. Now if you do start with 1/4 inch material, I will tell you that you need to feed it a little bit slower. Once in a while, this funnel tube might get clogged up, and you might have to lift it up or tap it and make it go down, but if you put a whole bunch in there, 1/4 inch will clog it. Nothing else will clog it. But if you do run 1/4 inch material, you just have to speed it just a little bit slower, maybe even a little bit more water to help it flush down. The first thing you do is you put a couple tablespoons in it. And then after I do that, I'm just going to watch this bottom tube down here, and I just want to see that that's actually kind of spinning, but I want to see the material's going down so I don't have the flow too high. Now it's also important to remember that the more that you add more material, obviously this tube is going to slow down, so you need to give it a little more juice and a little more juice as you keep adding material. All the material is going down, it looks good. I look down at the bottom and I can see that that bottom portion is still fluidized. Sometimes you'll see this funnel sort of pause and the material slowly go down. But one thing I did want to show you is I've added 2 or 3 cups now. I wanted to show you what it looks like. And you can see that there's a little bit of fine material up here, clearing out here, and the larger material is down here. What we're dealing with here is we're actually dealing with terminal velocity, and that's something, I'm not going to go into that a whole bunch, but it's terminal velocity. It's not just based on specific density. That's a big mistake people make. They think it's specific density when in fact it really is terminal velocity. The gold is having to fight through a force. That's why it's not just specific density. Even though I've got fine gold in here, it may get kicked out at some point when I start to increase this force or this flow. Okay, it's getting a little windy out here, but I've gone ahead and I fed, it's about 1.5 gallons of cons through there, just raw cons screened 1/4 of an inch. I want to show you the tube. But it's a good lesson to learn that you can see the smaller particles up here. And as you go down, the particles get larger and larger and larger. And remember, it's not just, this isn't just specific gravity. There's hydraulic equivalence, there's terminal velocity involved with this as well too. So now I'm going to turn this up and start the action on it. And once I get it spinning, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to give it a little bit of juice. Once I give it the juice, I'm just going to sit there and just watch. Let it process for about 5 to 10 seconds and just keep an eye on it. At some point you'll start to see a clear gap in here. And there's your clear gap starting. Now you can see I've got this clear down here, and you'll be able to see sometimes, it may take a while, but you'll be able to see gold actually form down in here. The nice thing about running 1/4 inch material is that all these things are round rocks, and man, they just pan off real nice. That's about where I'm going to stop it, I think. So I've taken 1.5 gallons of concentrates, and now you can see what I have left. And that's all I have to deal with there. That's pretty nice. Okay, so today I'm going to show you the intelligent way to clean this. Normally I dump it into a pan, but it's easier. You just dump it into a tub. So I'm going to show you that I can't do it with one hand. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my funnel off. I'm going to remove my elbow. Up under here I'm going to put a pan. Because I will have gold come out right here. Now, there will be gold inside this tailings tube or the screen indicator. That'll tell me what size I need to go to next on this screen. Now, to clean this unit out, you want to make sure you tip it back because there's gold sitting right in here, right inside, right on that edge. There's gold sitting there on that edge. So I've got a tub down here. I'll show you how I clean it. And now my unit's clean, it's all ready to run, and that's what I have left. I'll put it to a pan and show it to you. Okay, so when I run 1/4 of an inch, I leave a little bit more material in here because these rocks are so easy to pan off. They're really round. So they'll just, you can just settle your gold down. And these round rocks just roll right off. And so what I've done is I've just taken that real quickly, 10 seconds, panned it off. I'm just going to tap it on my hand, and you'll see the gold on the right hand side. Some nice good looking color there. But you can see the gold in there. Good looking colors. But here's the important part. It's not just big gold. I've got all my gold. I got one big piece that probably wouldn't have fit through an 1/8 inch screen. Now I wouldn't want to have missed that nugget right there if I had screened to 1/8 of an inch. But I've also got a bunch of fine gold sitting in here too. Okay, so here's my tailings tube indicator, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the rubber mat out. Rinse off the rubber mat. Same thing, I'm just going to pan this real quick. Now this will tell me what my next screen size I need to go to. And that's pretty good there. See if you can see that. I'm going to take this over in the shade. Okay, so here's my tailings tube indicator, and what this is telling me is that I can skip the 1/8 screen. Normally I'd have to go 1/4, 1/8. This is telling me I can go straight to a 20 mesh. That there's nothing that won't fit through a 20 mesh that's in here. Okay, so after that, checking my tailings tube, I've gone to a 20 mesh screen. And this is all plus 20 here. And then all my minus 20, which I'm going to run, is in here next. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to reset this. I've already run a 1/4 inch. I looked at my tailings tube, not much in it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this mat, put it back inside my tailings tube, and put it right to the edge here. Just seat it down. And I wrote little top on here. Put my funnel back on. Funnel goes back on, fire up my funnel. Again, just a little bit of water going through that funnel. Turn on the main unit. Now, here's an important point. The finer you go with this, the less starting water you want to have. And you want to put a test in to make sure that material is falling down. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put about a couple tablespoons in. And then I'm going to watch this bottom tube here. I really don't need it spinning right now. All I want to do is just bring it up to a fluid bed state, and it's fine. But I want you to watch this. And all I want to do is just make sure that I'm in a fluid bed state. Now, if I look down here, if I see this looks a little bit slow down here, I'm just going to give it a little juice and make it fluidized. And once again, I'll just put it to recycle. Again, that was about 2 or 3 minutes of feeding. Now I'm just going to put it through the cycle. It takes me about another minute or two, and I'm done with 20 minutes. But here, as soon as you start to see that clear line show up, but I can see all kinds of gold inside this tube now. And I'm about going to stop there, I think. I might go a little bit higher, but yeah, we'll stop it there. And see, I can tell here, I always forget to shut my, I can always tell here too, you can see the amount of few columns. I've only got probably 3 or 4 tablespoons. Just a quick pan, I'll be down to 2. Now again, when you take this tailings tube off, have a pan under here, because there's going to be gold sitting right there when it comes out. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my screen indicator or tailings tube. I'm going to pan that out and see what the next screen size is I need to go to. Okay, his wind is killing me here, but this is my tailings tube indicator. So what that tells me is you know, I see 2 pieces that tell me I might have to go to 50 mesh. So the next one would be 50 mesh next screen. So I've gone from 1/4 to 20 mesh to 50 mesh. Okay, and so that's what I'm left with on my 20 mesh from inside the tube, and I shut it down to where I have about 4 or 5 tablespoons. The reason being is that all these particles, they're all round and they just roll right off when I pan. Just pan it and you'll see them. It takes 20 seconds to pan that layer off. Okay, well, I wanted to give you some sort of, but that's what was actually caught in my tube. So I've got some pieces in here that are plus 50 and minus 20. But you can see that how much gold was actually pulled out by that first run. I really don't have a whole lot of gold left. The beautiful part about this system is you don't have to classify all of your all your 1/4s, 1/8s, 20s, 30s, 50s, 100s, 150s. You can do that, but doing it this way just saves you a little bit of time. You can just run through this material, just put it all through at 1/4, put it all through at 1/8, put it all through at 20 mesh, run it through 3 or 4 minutes, boom, boom, boom. You'll have the majority of your gold out. What I do is when I'm in the active season, we don't spend a whole lot of time on a few specks that may be left in that black sand. We actually put that aside. We have what we call our trash cons. And our trash cons we just leave to the side, and during the winter time we'll take that, we'll run it to the gold cube, concentrate it down, then run it through again. But I'm pulling 98% of my gold out, maybe even more based on weight, probably within 15 to 20 minutes whenever we have runs here. So that makes life a whole bunch easier. Anyway guys, we're now shipping the unit as I showed it today. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you use it, hope you like it. Thanks.